Hi, I'm Amy Lee. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. This is Dropping These Pearls. Thank you. And like and subscribe, please. Okay. I struggle. Okay. I struggle with racism every single day. I always have, though. I always have. And I was like thinking, why do I struggle so much, you know? When I was growing up, there was like a lot of this, us and them stuff. If you watch Blazing Saddles, that'll give you a good fucking idea of how blacks are represented, whites are represented, and all this shit. And there's a lot of it rings very, 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 very true. So there's shit like that when I was a kid. But then there was stuff like The Jerk, where like this white guy lives with black people and they take him in, you know, and they know he has no rhythm, and that's a stereotype, of course, and we have no rhythm, and, you know, we're always taking from you, the black people, and blah, blah. So that's a good example of how, like, white people were represented, in my opinion. It wasn't favorable. It wasn't favorable. There was an SNL skit that, had Eddie Murphy pretend he was a white guy and go places and get better treatment because he's white. So I've always had this and that going back and forth. I ended up living in the projects, which is weird because I'd watch the Jeffersons growing up and I'd see the projects like out in the back of the, and they're moving on up. And once again, white people are complete dicks, losers, not attractive, all this shit on this show too. And the black people are just cool as shit. So I never liked that. You watch Sanford and Son, like, they just kind of made fun of the whole, that whole, like, low-income section. That was funny, too. But I don't think white people were really represented well in that. So I kind of always resented that. I didn't like that. I didn't like that because I'm going to watch Bill Cosby in an hour, and I'm going to watch this black doctor, and he's going to go on and on about black pride and all this shit, and they got to go to black colleges, and they got to do this, and they got to do that. And in a way, it's like, well, that's fucked up, but it's not because it's their thing. But then again, I don't see any Asian colleges. I don't see any Latino colleges. I don't see any Irish colleges. I don't see... Now, you could be black and Irish, you could be, you know, black and whatever, but this is specifically keeping people out. It's weird, because I could have sworn that Reagan did this thing where we all had reparations of some sort. Anyway, so that was going on when I was growing up. So that made me resentful. Because I don't like that. I don't like that. You know, the Beastie Boys came out, and finally some white kids that just didn't give a fuck, and they were Jewish, you know? So was Kiss, by the way, which fucking nuts. That motherfucker, dude. Oh, man, lead singer of Kiss. I think he fucking dated Diana Ross for like 1,000 years, and Cher. I think Diana Ross kind of like took care of her man for a weekend and just kept him. Okay, and then there'd be like Mr. T. Mr. T was a mean black man, and he didn't like Rocky, and I liked Rocky. Like, I got Rocky. Like, Rocky didn't have anything handed to him, and Rocky, you know, really worked, and he'd get his ass beat and just come back, and this guy comes in. To me, it's intimidating because he was just so... And when they did that fight, and you see him getting just the shit kicked out of Rock, just bad. I'm watching a black man beat the shit out of somebody that I really like. And I think it's a disco snack, you know? So that made me scared of black men. Then there was this movie called Flatliners. Kevin Bacon's in it, and he's like, they get knocked out, they get, you know, they're all smarty pantses, and they're doctors, and they want to see if there's like life after death. And so they basically all put each other out with some potassium and shit. And his thing, what would happen in their afterlives would be their worst fear. So, you know, like the Bible says, like, don't kill yourself because, you know, you'll just relive and you'll go to hell and you'll just be in that hell forever. And it, you know, actually, I think it's actually like something about the river Styx. Anyway, so you gotta put pennies on your eyes so that when you're on the river Styx, that's an in-between land between heaven and hell, that you pay the ferryman. So that's actually like a lot of music comes from that shit. I think it was, what, 80s band, fucking heavy metal. I think it was like Ozzy Osbourne or something. Anyway, so this little black girl, she's chasing him. And she's not a cute little black girl either. Just, she's not. And she's mean and she's angry and she's just fucking, she's relentless. So I have that going on in my head too. But then there's white stuff that would fucking, woo. I'm a little belly myself. I don't mind saying I'm a bit of a hayseed. So a hayseed would say, no, you're not. Because there's interracial stuff with white people. We just don't keep saying white, 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 white. And on Deliverance, if you've never seen Deliverance, oh my God, Burt Reynolds, these guys are like going down the river, and you're like, and like, these crazy hill people take them and rape the shit out of them and all this stuff. And then clowns are always represented as, you know, white people dress up as clowns. You don't see anybody else dress. I don't see any Asian clowns. I don't see Latina clowns. I don't see Russian clowns. I don't see any fucking other clowns than your average white person being a clown. So like IT, if I was a black person, I watch it, you know, I'd be like, oh my God, these white people. And then the Skeleton Key is like an interesting take on that because that's set in Louisiana and this white girl comes to take care of, I think it's an older black couple. And then like through the years, you know, I'm not going to spoil it. Well, it's fucking out for 1,000 years. At the end of all of it, there's like some voodoo shit going down. And there's a difference. There's voodoo and hoodoo. So separate it. And Louisiana is a fucking crazy thing. My grandma was straight from France. And she actually refused to speak French with her mom. Because she was embarrassed she was French because they were immigrants. And she and her sister, she has a sister and twin brothers. And they all got separated in the war. So, you know, the twins went over there, and my one aunt goes over there, and then my grandma goes over there. But then when they all got united again, my grandma didn't want to speak French. She was embarrassed. If you go down to Louisiana, it's like kind of like a black culture that speaks French. It's real funny. It's like, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like, they get the worst weather, too. It just doesn't make any sense. And then, okay, so at the end of that, turns out, like, with all this voodoo and shit, the couple was an old slave couple that got seriously fucked by the plantation owners. And they've been living in white people's bodies through the years. Something like that. And if you don't have it's just one, yeah, I think, and they only want to live in the white people's bodies, from what I've seen. But then if I was, you know, a kid 20 years ago, if I was a black kid and I was watching Talladega Nights, I'd have a completely different idea, which, by the way, I fucking love Talladega Nights. And I like those people, but I've never been into NASCAR. It just goes to show, like, color, like, black and white, you never know. There was Guess Who or some bullshit, like a movie where this black guy, his daughter brings home a white guy, Ashton Kutcher, by the way. Okay, he's just so cute. But I think he's like, does some fucking shady ass shit, man. Anyway, so that's the whole color thing, you know, black, white, black, white, black, white. He goes up to the taxi, like, my man. He's like, yeah, you know, he's all happy. And then the taxi driver pulls out and the white guy's in the driveway. Well, the dad liked NASCAR. And the white guy assumed he wouldn't know anything about NASCAR because, in general, black people aren't at NASCAR, okay? If I went to a fucking, by the way, I did have DMX. I did have tickets for that. I do, yeah. If I pop up at a DMX concert and I dress like, Heathers or something like that, I'm not gonna fit in. So, anyway. So when I, when I lived in the, damn it all, I'm just, ooh, I hate that. When I lived in, I lost my house during like a recession in the early 2000s, and I got sent into the projects, and I really didn't know too much about the projects. I didn't know anything about anything. And I was very scared, and I was pretty convinced they'd all hate me. And I was sitting, I had a air conditioning unit. I'd take it in and out every night because you could break in. And when the cops said, we've tried to get in these homes, you can't get in. So if all the windows are down, the doors are steel, no one's getting in here. But I don't think that's really true. And then so we just moved in there, and I was really scared. And my ex-husband was calling me a ninja lover because I was in that area, and he'd say it in such a way that it was me. Obviously I'm having sex with many black men. I think that's what that alludes to, and that's not even the case. Nobody was even talking to me. I've never really been with a black guy to this day. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm not into Asian dudes. I'm not into Russian dudes. There's lots of different things I'm not into. But he was really giving it to me like every day, telling me I'm a piece of shit and look at you and you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're fucking disgusting. In the meantime, we're playing nice in front of the kids. They never knew we didn't get along. They didn't know how he was with me. And I didn't tell him. Why the fuck would I tell him? So I think the first night I was there, I looked out and there was like a little boy or girl. I think it was a little girl. She was walking along the sidewalk, and she had a bottle, which I come to find out is 7-Up, and a real saggy diaper, like beyond saggy. It's like 3:30 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning. I'm looking out my window like, oh, but then I'm looking out the window like, can anybody see me looking out the window? And then I'm like, oh, I gotta call the cops because look at this little boy, baby here. And then I'm like, I can't call the cops because everybody will know it's me. I'm the only white person here. There was like one other white lady, and she was like a gajillion years old. The deal was is if you couldn't pay your rent, you lived for free, but it was based off of your income. My rent for a beautiful, beautiful 3-bedroom, 3 floors, like a basement, middle floor, and top, was $110 a month, I think. My neighbors were Puerto Rican. She never paid shit, and she also rented out all of her rooms. She rented them out. There were like some fucking satellites on it. Anyway, she ended up taking a big steamy dump on my fucking basement floor out of spite. It was a spite shit. Anyway, I'll get into that one day, but shit. So, I see this stuff, and so my kids and I, fast forward a day, maybe 2, and I look, my kids are like, there's like a gaggle of kids sitting on our back step. Right on our back step. There's lots of places to go. The back of mine was like, there's a freeway. It's not in a great area, and there's freeway, and there's street lights, right? It's very daunting. It's kind of like jail where like the light's always on, and you just gotta, anyway, so these boys are sitting on the back steps. And like a part of me was like, tell them to get out of here. And then another part of me was like, what would happen if I tell them to get out of here? What if they decide, I don't think you should say that. We've lived here our whole lives. You just moved in, and now you're going to tell us to leave. And my apartment was right next to like a little tiny playground. So I'm like thinking about it. What could I do? If I say something, maybe they'll pop off back on me, and then where's it going to go? My kids are here. What if they take it out on my kids, I never let my kids out of my sight, but what if... Through those years, I've learned, like, a lot of racism, and I try to always look both ways. I thought the most I could say would be nothing. So I just stood there. I went right up to the door and I just stood there and I watched them. And one by one, you know, they're figuring out she's right there. I let their own minds go to wherever they wanted it to go. If it goes to deliverance, if it goes to clowns, if it goes to like whatever it does in their heads, because believe me, they've been seeing all this shit their whole lives. So I said nothing and I stood there, and one by one they got freaked the fuck out and ran off. And they ran off, and these kids were no joke either. When I walked out one day, I wanted to go get the mail, and I had no idea that Puerto Ricans don't get along with Mexicans. At least in this neighborhood, they didn't. And there was a lot of kids out front. I didn't have the kids that day. I was drinking, you know, because I'm a fucking alcoholic. And I'm drinking, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm beyond depressed. It's hot as balls out, and I can't have the fucking windows open because I'm afraid someone's going to know I'm white. I'm afraid someone's going to think I'm watching. I don't know. I just fucking kept everything shut. And I wanted to go get the mail because there was a check out there and I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden there's kids, like a whole shit ton of kids. And this side screaming at this side and this side screaming at that side. And they're all like talking shit and doing all this and that. And then there's like a group of black kids around going, oh, 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 like all that's going on. I'm like, oh God, crap, I just need to go get that mail. What am I going to do if I walk out there? Will they notice me? And like, you know, what if I walk out there and they do notice me? And I was like, well, I'm going to go get my witch hat. I have a witch hat. I have a witch hat. Where the fuck did I put that fucking witch hat? I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I have a witch hat. Okay, so, alright, hold on a second. Okay, witch hat. Oh man, motherfucker. Who loses a witch hat? Fuck me and everybody I know. I don't know where I fucking put that hat, man, but I put it on one of my other videos and it's funny as shit. Anyway, so I put on the witch hat and I walk outside. I'm kind of shit-faced, so, but my fear was just so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. So I put on the witch hat, I open up the door, and I walk out real confident because they don't know I'm that scared. They don't need to know I'm that scared. I don't mind being underestimated. It's okay with me. And the fucking crowd just partied. And everybody's just like, because I'm feeding into all their stereotypes of what they think a white person is. In my mind, that's what I think, you know. There was one thing that happened. Another thing that happened is this sweet little boy named Falou came over, and he's Puerto Rican. He came over, and I would talk to him because he didn't have, you know, anybody watching him or paying attention to him. I think he was like 15. He was fucking spicy hot. Like, you could look back in time when you were in high school and go, okay, yeah, I was, you know, and then, so like if I was in high school, I'd see him and I'd be like, fuck. And he was, ooh, goddamn, he's hot. He sat on my couch. He lays down. We're talking. We're just talking like this. He lays down, unzips his pants, pulls his dick out, and starts doing one of these things. He goes, come on, mommy. And I go, what? And he's like, come on, mommy, come on, mommy. And he wanted me to have sex with him. I go, Falou, fucking put that, what are you doing? And so he's like, all right, you know, he puts it back or whatever. He ended up killing somebody like 2 years later over a PlayStation. He's in prison for life. It was just one of the kids, and one of the kids, it was a black kid, he came over, and you could tell nobody really took care of him. He was such a nice boy, though, and I think we got a kick out of each other. And he comes over, he goes, yo, Ma, you got to do my edges. And I said, what, like a lawnmower stuff, like your edges, like flower bed. He's just falls out laughing, he's dying, he's like, girl, And he's like, I think he was Flu's age. They were all hanging out. And so he was like 14, 15, but he was real tall and stuff and gangly. And he's like, no, what, you think this shit just happens? You think this shit just happens? Well, this shit just happened, so I have no fucking idea what he's talking about. Edges are when they don't shave it because I thought, I don't even fucking get edges at all. I just don't get edges. I can see if you're wearing a wig, you want edges back because you're wearing a wig and, you know, say this fucking shit would hang out. But a dude, well, they just want it like all symmetrical or whatever, you know. So I didn't know about that. Their hair is thicker, way thicker than ours. You can't be a black girl and go to a white salon. They don't do hair correctly. I didn't know any of this shit. I also didn't know that black people didn't get lice like we do. We get fucking lice. My daughter got lice, and she brought it back like 1,000 fucking times. I shaved her head. Poor kid had kerosene on her head. Anyway, I'll tell you about that one later. But yeah, I didn't know that black people didn't get lice, and they never heard of lice, these kids. It was like we're all in different time zones, and I'm on the same level as the kids because I don't know what's going on. I have no fucking clue. I'm a mom. I'm just trying to feed my kids. I wouldn't even eat on the days they weren't home. And I would work when I was living there to get extra money. I actually worked for, I had a few jobs, but one of them was this one woman. She's a black lady, and she was I think she was like a district attorney in Akron or some shit like that. And she had suffered a long time with some things where she'd have to take some seizure medicine. And she was married to a white guy, and he was like a rocket science, literally, truly a rocket scientist. They paid me $6 an hour. They both have fucking crazy money too. It's so irritating. But she had the babies prematurely, and they were cute little bundles. They were real small, but they'd have a acid reflux thing, and because they weren't developed correctly, because she was on that medication, they didn't develop correctly, so she'd have to sleep. So when she'd sleep, I came. Her husband, when I would get there, they didn't, have too much going on. So her husband's, he's sitting there with a beer, and the microbrew he had, I knew how much it cost. And it was 4 bottles of breakfast stout is equivalent to 3 hours of my work. So that was really fucking irritating. There'd be like 30 bottles. I'd wash the bottles. I'd do all of his ironing while the kids were asleep. Now, the kids could only sleep 2 hours in 2-hour increments. And in those 2 hours, after you feed them, they need to sit up for like 45 minutes straight. So there's nothing you could do. You have to do that. But in the meantime, I would, run around, clean the house, really clean it, not sweep it. I'd make lunch for her husband. I'd clean all the bottles, refill all the bottles. And I'd do the laundry. And I'd get everything ready for her. And I'd make her breakfast and lunch too, so she didn't have to fucking worry about it and enjoy her kids. I asked her for a raise one day. And she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm thinking, I took the $6 because I needed it, and I'd work from like 10 till like 7 a.m. or something like that, and they'd pay me once a week. And when you're working for people in their homes, they could do whatever the fuck they want. And if they decided they don't want you there anymore, then it's tough shit. Doesn't matter if you work 4 days. So like I was working that job. I ended up quitting because she wouldn't give me more than $6 an hour. I thought I deserved more than $6 an hour. But that's one of my, so that's how I got introduced into the housing system. That's how I started meeting everybody of different cultures. The Puerto Rican family, well, it was just her. She's a single mom, but she had like a whole bunch of other fucking people living there. I don't know that they were undocumented. I don't know about that. But they all worked except for her. And then they'd have cooking parties where they'd all play all this crazy music. And then they'd all be like singing and dancing. And I mean dancing, like dance, dance, dance. Anytime I go to a Puerto Rican's house, they're fucking dancing all over the fucking street. They're dance, dance, dance. Like you'll go, hey, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then they're like, look at you, because I'd be like, I dance like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, so I'm doing one of those, and they're all laughing at me. Because I'm like the typical like Nirvana type dancing styles, like No Doubt, you know, all that shit. And I'm like dancing like that. And they got a kick out of me. So we get a kick out of each other. They'd all get together and they'd make tamales or whatever. And they'd do it for like 2 days straight. And they'd all do it, the whole family. I loved it. I just loved the community. I loved the way they took care of each other. And they didn't really fuck with anybody else. They just kind of all hung out with themselves. But it was a big group of people. I probably met like 30 Puerto Ricans, and her son, he had a real name, but I call him Diabito. He was 4. His name's Sebastian, and he's adorable as fuck. And he was kind of shy, but he was one of those kids that like be like you knew he wanted you to go hang out with them or do something. So I started getting candy. Well, Diabito got a little out of control, and he'd see me pull in, and he was on like right for the door. Me and my kids would be like, do you see him? And we're looking, you know, and I don't see him. All right, let's go. We all break out. Like whether we go into the house or out of the house, we're watching for Diabito, because Diabito will come running, and you better throw him something. He would stick his arm and leg through the door and go, I'm a candy. I go, no, Diabito. No, Diabito. No candy today, sir. I let his older brother stay in my house. I thought it'd be cool to do, and I had an airsoft gun. Man, they took my airsoft gun my son got me to keep me safe, because it looks like a real gun. It really did look like a... So one of the other kids got a very similar airsoft gun. It looks very real. They shot the shit out of that apartment. I was gone like 3 days. I come back, there's 40s everywhere. Everywhere. Fucking rappers and shit, and that's before the big creamy shit on the floor. And then there was like fucking bullets all through my walls, all riddled all through my walls were these little steel. So that's kind of how it rolled at the old housing situation right after I lost my house. But I worked lots of jobs. I'll talk about that another time. It's coming on 30 minutes. Thank you so much. I'm Amy Lee. I struggle with racism, I agree. I try really hard to not do the same shit. Oh, by the way, I did get a couple comments, and one of them said, I can't believe she said the N-word. Here's the deal with that. If I hang out anywhere and people keep saying the same word over and over and over and over and over and over and over, I'm going to say it. I can't even call up and order Mexican without sounding like I just walked over the border like 10 seconds. Because I'll just pick shit up. Like, I'll order Chinese and I'll be like, ni hao, you know, because I know a little bit of everything. I've worked at Chinese restaurants. I'll tell you about that. It's crazy. Fucking hate us. Hate the shit out of us. Those guys who own that restaurant. Anyway, I mean, white people in general just hate us. I think they're not fond of anybody actually in that restaurant business, but we're wasteful. So, but yeah. And then I had another comment. It said, stop on your head. And it was like on my Jaguar right shit. And I was like, oh, maybe this is like a black person warning me, like, shut the fuck up or I'll show it at your house. I look and it's a white person. It's a white woman. I go on her fucking page. She does tarot card reader. 536 subscribers. I subscribed. I messaged her back and I said, hey, you know, I see you do tarot card readings, LOL, you know. I said, I always put LOL because I'm always laughing out loud, so I truly am laughing out loud. And I put LOL and I said something like, I subscribed. I see you got, you know, this many people. I'll lift you up, girl. I'll give you flowers. Don't you worry. I wish you the best. I really do. God bless. Because really when you get that shit, it's kind of like, part of me wants to like fuck her up and really go on, but then like it'd be the same shit that I was doing on the Jaguar stuff where like first I started talking about Jaguar, naming names, and by the end of it I'm naming names. I name up like 25 different fucking platforms, and what's the difference between me and her? And I really do think that I had a bad paw situation. If you look on my pages and you see my stories, because I was talking about Jaguar right. So everything goes up and down in this world. Nothing. If you think you're getting away with something, you're not getting away with shit. If you think this and that, and I also think I got bad shit from that because Jaguar Wright's a big algorithm thing, and I used her name just like it. But I truly did believe Jaguar Wright, and I really did believe I still believe all of that stuff is crazy to me. I still got a problem with it, but I put it out. I took it off and I put it back out because this is my bipolarness. I'm doing this so I could show my grandchildren who their grandma was if I'm not alive, or my children could watch it when I'm not around. I want them to see the struggles that their mom went through because I never told them. I want like other people to learn from my life and how weird it is, and it's not easy to try to be different and not carry on with these stupid fucking things that are always out there. And I just, you know, haters gonna hate, haters gonna hate, and the naysayers will say nay, so fuck it, you know, like, this bitch, fuck it. Anyway, okay. Alright, please like and subscribe, and tell me if you've had any weird racial, like, fucking weird shit. I could go on for hours about it, and I will. Alright, take care. Thank you.